From Chengdu, the national anthems of the United States and then North Korea. Well, the USA says they're ready. We'll see if they are as they get ready to take on a North Korean side that's looking to make a statement as well in this Women's World Cup. Shifts to Chengdu, but the time difference is still 12 hours from the east coast of the United States, so it's 5 p.m. in Chengdu, and it's very early in the morning depending on where you're watching this game in the United States, 5 a.m. East Coast time. Players have had time, though, to adjust their body clocks, especially the United States. They've been here for a couple of weeks, and they are in what is commonly called the group of death, and there's an obvious reason for it, Julie. 3 of the top 5 teams play in this group.
Tough group. I mean, to have 3 like that in one group is difficult, but the USA has always been put in difficult groups, and their mentality towards it is you got to beat everyone to get through. USA
has been dominant. They're the only team that has won a couple of World Cups and the only team that has won a World Cup on their home soil. That was back in 1999 when Julie Foudy was one of their key players, and you see the dominance. You can see all those numbers, but why was the team so dominant?
Well, I think, you know, we just, like this team, we had a lot of time to prepare, and the U.S. Soccer Federation has done a good job of making sure that, you know, if there's no league in the United States, then your top 30 in the country are getting good training day in and day out. So I think that helps coming into a tournament.
Also helps to have great players like yourself, Mia Hamm, and with this current crop, Abby Wambach. She's a big storyline in this tournament because she comes in with a bit of an injury. Big injury,
and you know, she's saying it's fine. She hurt her big toe, her right big toe, in that last send-off game against Finland and early in the first half, and she's saying it's good to go. We'll see how she does today.
Do you remember this referee?
I do.
She was there in 1999 Women's World Cup, Rose Bowl. Better than 90,000. USA winning on a Brandy Chastain penalty kick. Who will ever forget? That's the captain, Rikum Suk, and definitely a player to watch. She and Abby Wambach, 2 of the great strikers in this tournament. Germany made a statement yesterday, to be sure, 11-0 over Argentina. No one is expecting anything like this today, but we'll see if the USA can make a statement.
And this is such a big first game for the United States because you can see Christine Lilly in the background. They're itching to go, and they want to prove that, look, this team's ready. Even though we're young, we're ready to go, and we're going to do well. I think that Germany game probably gave them a little more impetus as well to show what they can do here in China.
And the captain, Christine Lilly, will become the first woman to play in 5 World Cups as soon as this ball is kicked off, and she joins only 2 other players in general, Carvajal of Mexico, Mateus of Germany, to have ever done that in the history of soccer. North Korea in red, USA in the white. The theme among the USA players, the last time we spoke to them, they've been ready for a while. We'll see how ready they are. This one's underway. North Korea will try an immediate long ball, not a down, but in a bad spot. 9 is Ryun Suk. Low shot wide of a diving Hope Solo. This is going to be interesting to see who controls the tempo early. We've heard all about the North Koreans and their speed of play and how attack-minded they are. We saw a little bit of it there.
Well, there's been so much hype and talk about this North Korean team because, one, no one even knows much about them. They don't open their sessions to the media. It's very closed and secretive. But right there in first 13 seconds, they're getting a shot on goal, which is a good sign for North Korea.
Along with National Soccer Hall of Famer Julie Foudy, a former member of this team, I'm JP Dellacamera. Thanks for joining us and waking up early for the Women's World Cup. Lori Kolupny should be a player to watch throughout this tournament. She's one of the ones that everyone says looking for an underrated player, an unsung player, maybe an unsung star. It's going to be her.
And, you know, she reminds me a lot of Christine Lilly in her younger years. Didn't get a lot of attention and just so consistently solid.
Oh, Sun Hui lost it. Possession back on that far side. Song Jung Sun. Cut off there. USA on it. I like the way this one has started. I know it's only into the 2nd minute. But both teams like to play in a high-pressure style. That's why I say it's important to see who's going to control the tempo early. And we know who the crowd's going to be rooting for in Asia. Or at least we think. Hope Solo will clear.
And these first 10 minutes for the United States are going to be critical because a lot of young players, as we talked about, there's only 5 players on the field with World Cup experience right now starting. And so how do you come into this first game? There's so much energy and emotion and raw emotion, and being able to temper that and turn it into a positive.
USA comes in with the oldest team in this World Cup, but that's, you got to remember, you've got Christine Lilly, Diana Scurry, and a few.
36-year-olds.
Yeah, that brings it up.
Right. Skew the statistic a little bit.
But you also have Lopez, who's 21. Kolupny, O'Reilly, very young players. A little bit of aggressiveness on the part of Kolupny.
And then on the other side, North Korea with 3 15-year-olds actually on their team. They have, along with Argentina, the youngest team at the tournament with only an average age of 22 and a half.
Youngest versus the oldest. This is Jeon Myung-Hwi, starting goalkeeper. Was a member of the under-20 team, did great there. She took over for the suspended #1 goalkeeper, Ha Young-han, who was banned by FIFA for a year for attacking a referee, if you can believe it, in the 2006 Asian Cup. Here's Wambach. We'll see how she goes today. The injury was to her big toe on the right foot. Sent into the box. Left there, now played back out. Long shot was blocked. Gathered in. That's Carly Lloyd, and she's broken up. USA will get it back here in the 4th minute. They'll go long, and that's going to be too long. You saw Carly Lloyd, maybe she held on to it a little bit too long. We expect high pressure from North Korea, so I think speed of play is going to be very important here. Move that ball.
And that wet surface actually can help to some degree. If it hasn't been raining too hard, it gives you a nice little skip that you can play faster. And here's a great first look by Christine Lilly. She's going to knock it wide, but getting in the box and making things happen early for the United States is going to be critical. Getting Christine involved, Abby with the ball at her feet.
Jeon Myung-Hwi was sent it the other way. USA opened up today in a 4-3-3. They can play other formations. Lopez played it back off a miss hit. Jong brought it down, has some help. That's broken up. Ri Un-suk was there. And that too is deflected out of play. Throw in for the United States. Young Stephanie Lopez, 21. The starter with Heather Mitz out with an injury. Heather joining us on our Women's World Cup broadcast team. There's the undefeated coach, Greg Ryan. He's not won a major tournament. That's another storyline in this one. He's won all of these other games or tied them. Great unbeaten streak. But this is a big test for him and his team.
Yeah, his first World Cup as a head coach. It's a lot different than coming into an Olympics as an assistant coach. So, and they've got an incredible streak, the longest the U.S. has ever had.
46 unbeaten. Look out here. Solo stayed back. Came out a little bit late, I thought. But she's got it. And I would think her first couple of touches will be important for her and her confidence too.
Oh, no question. And does well. She's almost at her 18-yard line when she gets that ball. So she did hesitate a little bit, but did well to get to the end of that. And being this being her first World Cup, those few touches, like you said, JP, are going to set the tone for her.
Here's a chance. Boy, that was close. And Kolupny.
And this is what they want to see out of Kolupny. And people talk about she's great defensively because she can bring such an engine, but she's also an incredible attacker. And nice first touch to pop it over the North Korean defender, and just hits it wide on goal. Tries to bend it with the outside of her foot.
She's from St. Louis. She might be the most versatile player on a team made up of many versatile players.
She actually played center midfield. She's played out wide with her collegiate team. She's played outside back with the national team. So again, she reminds me of Lil in that regard, where Lil could play all over the field and be very comfortable in any of those positions.
7th minute. Free kick here for North Korea. They've got several members of their under-20 team here. They won that World Cup in Russia. Left side, looking for some room. It's knocked out of play by Heather O'Reilly.
There has been so much talk about this North Korean team from other coaches, from Tommy Sermani in Australia to Pia Sundhage.
Played it into the box. Knocked away by Box. Here's a chance, but it's right at solo. Kim Kyung-hwa with that shot.
And good ball movement by North Korea. Finishes with a shot on goal. Another good test for Hope. It's raining. Ball is wet.
And Hope Solo is another storyline involved in a major tournament. We're used to seeing Brianna Scurry, your longtime teammate, in goal.
Bri has started or played in 17 of the last 18 World Cup games the United States has played in. So a different face in goal for the U.S. But Hope has an unbeaten streak of 39 straight games. I mean, and she hasn't lost under Greg Ryan with their streak. So she's proved that she can handle the nets well.
A lot of goalkeeping stories already in this Women's World Cup. When you see Sweden later, they have a different #1 goalkeeper because of an injury to their #1, Caroline Jonsson. Of course, Germany played their backup Andre yesterday. We saw what happened with Argentina's goalkeeper. Bad day for her yesterday. 11-0 Germany. That had to be a shock.
I rarely feel sorry for a team, and I felt sorry for them.
Tackled away. Player down for North Korea, but plays going on. Nicole Pettignac, the referee, lets play continue on the far side. Song into the box. Ryun Suk turning. A weak shot, and Soto is right there, but North Korea is finding a little bit of room.
And this is what they're known for when people scout them. I was talking about Pia Sundhage, the assistant coach for China, Tommy Sermani, the Australian coach. They say that they possess the ball. They're so good technically. They're fast. They get numbers forward. They really have been talking about how good this team plays. So it's fun to finally be able to see them, since you can't see them play pretty much unless they're playing in an Asian qualifier.
It's Ho Sun Hui, and she's one of the best players on this team.
They actually consider Ho Sun Hui their engine in the midfield. So for North Korea, they're hoping that she's okay.
Yeah.
No question.
2007 FIFA Women's World Cup continues on ESPN and ESPN2 live from China. 2 more games this morning. First at 7:55 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. Japan meets England. Also at 7:55 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Nigeria and Sweden from this group. The FIFA Women's World Cup on ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN 360 later today. For more information, hit the website. Log on to soccernet.com for full coverage.
And you can hear the crowd. And there was an interesting statistic that I just read about when it talks about a home field advantage of sorts for North Korea being in Asia. At the 2002 Men's World Cup, which was held in Korea and Japan, the Asian teams won more games in that World Cup than they had ever won in all World Cups combined. So even though the United States has played North Korea in 2 prior World Cups and beat them twice 3-0, this is a different field and home field advantage for North Korea entirely.
Meanwhile, Ho Sun Hui is out. That would be a key loss if she could not continue. She's being treated on the sideline here in the 11th minute. Ball given right back.
So North Korea playing a man down right now. They'll go into a more conservative stance. A good opportunity for the United States to pick it up and try and get some numbers forward with Korea being a man down.
Good sportsmanship by the North Koreans to give that ball back to the USA as play was stopped for their injury. Another whistle sounding there. Alm and Wambach got together. They call that one on Abby Wambach. And now Ho Sun Hui wants to come back in. She still looks like she's struggling, though. She gave the signal. 4th official was there looking at the main referee, Nicole Pettignac. But for someone that was ready to come in, doesn't look as ready. Up high. North Korea getting into the air. If the USA has an advantage here, it should be in the air against North Korea on both sides of the ball. But we'll see how that plays out today.
Especially set pieces, which we could see how dominant Germany was in that area yesterday. Also a great strength of the United States.
Kat Whitehill did so well in that 2003 Women's World Cup, coming in for an injured Brandy Chastain. And down went Wambach. We've seen this a lot of times. She's a target. She's got a bullseye painted on her. They know who she is. She'll dish it out too, but that time she felt it. from Jong-ran.
Looks like she got a little elbow to the back of the head. Better than a forehead to the back of the head, I must say. If you're going to have one of the two.
Also better than a step on her right foot.
Right.
That's the injury.
Sure, yeah. And I'm sure
there it is again.
Teams know well which foot it is, which toe it is.
And that's why the USA is trying to keep it as secret as possible. She's looking okay, right? The first several minutes.
And she's not running with any limp, which is good news.
Now here's an advantage for the United States. Strong in these free kick situations, as Julie mentioned. That's up there, and it's too high.
And that's interesting because North Korea, they didn't set any type of defensive line. You try and usually keep your 6-yard box at least clear so your goalkeeper can come out and punch it. But they dropped their back line all the way to their goal line almost, which is great news for the United States because they can tussle in the middle of that, and it's going to be hard for the goalkeeper for North Korea to come out.
USA has scored 41 goals this calendar year. 17 of those have come from set pieces. And they've worked a lot on it, especially the last few months as they prepared and intensified their preparations for this World Cup. 13th minute. Throw in for the United States. Scoreless between the USA and North Korea in Group B. Tough way to start the World Cup with North Korea first, then Sweden, and then Nigeria. That's what the USA faces in the next few days, next several days.
No question. This first game, getting 3 points out of it is critical for the United States. Having Sweden as their next game.
3-3 of the shots so far. That's more than the US gave up in that last game.
And now you're 13 minutes in. The United States has gotten some of the nerves out, and this is when they can try and settle the ball a little bit more, get their rhythm established. You start breathing again if you're a young kid.
Jong-ran up the right side. That's blocked. Shannon Box. Left foot's in ahead. Look at how much attention Wambach had. There were 4 players in that area. All the way back at the other side. The U.S. will push it up the right flank. North Korea will take it back. Ryun-suk. Kim will play it forward. And that's going the other way. Otherwise, would have been a good free kick opportunity for North Korea.
You talked about all the attention Abby is getting. And that actually is such a benefit for the United States, for the other players. If she's drawing 3-4 defenders, then that means Christine Lilly is open. That means Carly Lloyd gets a little more space in the midfield, and those players like to take shots on goal.
That's flicked on, but cut off by the U.S.
Was one of the benefits of having Mia Hamm on the field. You take all the pressure, Mia, and then I'll just cruise right through.
USA, as we mentioned earlier, is starting out in a 4-3-3 today with Hope Solo in goal. This back four has played together now the last several games.
And there's a lot of experience. Lopez is the youngster on that back line, being only 21 years old, but a lot of experience on that back line. And a little bit younger midfield, you have Shannon Box, who's leading the charge, holding midfield for them. And then the top 3 with Lily Wambach and Heather O'Reilly.
It's a lot of offensive firepower, especially with Lily and Wambach. Pushed ahead. O'Reilly, Wambach. To the halfway line is Wambach. Lily runs onto it, trying to get through. She was detained somewhat there by North Korea. Ryun-gyong will play it ahead. Oh Sun-hui, by the way, is still on that sideline. Like I said, for someone that was ready to come back in, she really wasn't.
And it's too bad that the United States hasn't taken advantage of that, because that's a good 10 minutes with 5-10 minutes with North Korea playing a man down, a player down.
Jong-ran, the left back, she likes to push forward. Petignat's got the foul. Here's your captain, Ri Kum-suk. She's the oldest player on this team at 29.
And the only one to have played in both other World Cups for North Korea. And with the youngest team in the tournament, you call and you rely heavily on that experience.
Jung-ran, 21-year-old, puts it near the penalty area. U.S. will just blast it out. See that graphic up top, the 3 youngest players. Can you believe the 3 youngest players are 15
I know, it's
years old?
Amazing. And one of them just turned 15 in September. That's the 6'5" player.
Played inside the box, cleared straight up the middle. That's a bad spot. Ryun-suk will wait for some help. She was double teamed on the left side. Solo is there. But North Korea has looked pretty threatening here, and especially now. They've been playing with 10 the last several minutes.
And again, Hope does very well. She comes off her line, holds on to it. If you're going to come out for that, you got to keep a strong hold of that. And with the rain and it's slick, not such an easy task.
Far side, Song. Headed up by Markgraf. Box nods it down. Nearly paid a price for that. So Riley pushing it back. Right side it goes. Wambach. Scoreless in the 19th minute. USA and North Korea. Kept in play. Lily finds an open player, and that's cleared away.
That's better possession, though, by the United States. It's really the first series where they've strung a consistent string of passes together.
Maybe an opportunity here. O'Reilly runs it in. Cut off there by Sonu, but O'Reilly stays with it. The shot, the right at goal. O'Reilly missed the last World Cup because of an unfortunate injury. She hopes to make a statement in this. She was part of the Olympic team.
And this is just good persistence by Heather O'Reilly. She just stays with it, fights that defender off. She puts it, unfortunately, right at the goalkeeper, but does well to even get a shot off.
I remember that horrific injury after she scored a goal against Ireland in Salt Lake City. That was the end of her World Cup.
I remember her trying to come back for that, too. She thought she could make it back just in time, and just limping around the field trying to recover. It was painful to watch.
No one knows for sure, but the word was she was going to make that team. Lily up that flank. Nobody home. 20th minute. Are you impressed with North Korea?
I am. I think, you know, they've had the better looks on goal, no question. And you know, in the first 20 minutes of any World Cup, it's hard to really get a rhythm established, and yet they seem to be holding the ball a little bit better than the United States already. So I'm sure that tide will change, because as the USA gets more comfortable, they'll start holding it better.
See how this field holds up. A lot of rain these days in this part of the world, and especially right now. In fact, they're going to play another game on here later. Nigeria and Sweden. I wonder about that second game.
And it's interesting watching Abby. She seems, you know, to be carrying that toe well.
Ryun-suk lost it there, cleared away by Rampone. North Korea got it back. That's a nice pullback. Rikum-suk showing some of her skill there. Lost it. Carly Lloyd good on the attack. She's taken down. Advantage call by Petignan. There's another foul.
And Carly Lloyd has been told, I want you going at them. I want you dribbling. I want you offensive. I want you taking them on. And the large reason for that is so.
We're going to see the sub. So she could not continue. Ho Sun-hui replaced by number 17, Kim Jong-hae. That's unfortunate for them.
That is bad news for North Korea, because as I was saying, Carly Lloyd's role was to attack so that Ho Sun-hui had to actually constantly defend her, and she couldn't be a playmaker.
And on the World Feed pictures, we did not see her even coming back onto the field. She must have just come back on there, because the last shot we had of her was on the sideline. So Kim Jong-hae, 24-year-old, 3 goals in World Cup qualifying. She's an attacking midfielder, has some skill. Here it goes inside, off the keeper. What a chance, and you can see how heavy the rain is now.
And this is when the rain plays such a factor. And again, shows why Hope holding the ball so well has been impressive, because you could see from that shot the rain coming down.
Stephanie Lopez will take this corner.
Lots of targets for the United States. Abby Wambach, Kat Whitehill, Shannon Box, Carly Lloyd. Really strong on set pieces. They're going to try and get a lot of corners today.
23rd minute. Lopez puts it up there for Wambach. Well, they had the look that they wanted. 45% of Wambach's goals, by the way, have come in the air.
And this is about as good a look as Abby's going to get. She's pretty much got the leading edge on her defender, just unable to get anything substantial on it, and it skims off her forehead.
The team doesn't lose when she starts, as that graphic showed. They're 48-1-1 when she scores a goal, so they rely a lot on number 20, Abby Wambach. Mentioned the 45% goals in the air, 35 of them she scored out of 77.
Yeah, almost half your goals
that's incredible.
Come with your head, and yet you still find teams that sometimes don't even mark her up on set pieces, which just amazes me. I would put like 3 on her and say tackle her.
I think she's going to get a lot more attention in this Women's World Cup.
But the problem is, if you're doing that, another team, if you're really focusing on her, there's so many other weapons in the air for the United States on set pieces. That's why they're so strong.
Lloyd checking back. She's tackled. Lopez got it forward. Far side. Wambach to Lopez, who stays up top. Blocked by Ryun-Suk. And North Korea will take it back. There's some room on that right wing. Kim will play it long. That ball skips on this wet surface. Hope Solo from the state of Washington. No stranger to this kind of weather. Hope Solo is a...
She's like, this is just like at home.
She's a tremendous athlete, too, when you think she was a striker in high school, over 100 goals.
Right, and that's why people go, gosh, she is really good with her feet. I was like, yeah, because she spent half her career on the field.
She should be.
She actually loves it, too. She said that during the 2004 Olympics, when she was an alternate, all they did was play 2v2 because she was over in Greece with us. She said, we just played 2v2 every day. I didn't do any goalkeeping.
It's a nice vacation, right? In Greece.
She said it was the greatest time ever.
You had to work. You had to work for that goal.
Right, it's hard work.
Yeah. Right side, Kim again. Pressured, knocked out, last touched by Lily in the United States.
But that is a huge advantage for the United States to have a goalkeeper who, you know, if you pass it back to her in a dicey, high-pressure situation, she's going to be able to take that ball and be fine with it with her feet.
25th minute. You surprised at all that there's no score in this?
No, not surprised. I think that happens in first games when you're trying to get the nerves out. Especially, look at that rain. Hard to establish a rhythm in that. Looks like it's coming down harder now. You've
played in conditions like this. You just have to focus on your game, I guess, right? And forget about the elements, because I know you've played in worse than this.
And, you know, this is probably advantage to the United States.
Quick shot taken. Boy, Hope Solo was in the full stretch, and that didn't miss by much. That's Ryun-Suk.
And Ryun-Suk is one of their under 20 stars, and she gets a hold of this one and almost takes a deflection. Whoa, that was close. And you can see Hope talking to her defenders, please step up and put some pressure on that ball, especially if she's going to crack it from outside like that.
If that touched Rampone, that might have gone in. What were you going to say before advantage? Before about the weather?
Well, I think for North Korea, it's a bit of a disadvantage because they love to hold the ball. They love to possess. They're a very technical team. And so to try and do that in this weather, as it gets wetter and sloppier, is more difficult. And it seems to be coming down harder, and because the ball starts skipping and it's just so fast almost. So unless the field can hold up, but it looks like it's coming down harder, and that would play into the hands of the United States, which is a less technical team than North Korea.
No room on that sideline. Joined us late. North Korea lost one of their best players through injury, Ho Sun-hui, and they've got to be hopeful that it's not anything long-term. Ryun-Suk A cutting ball in. There's some contact there, but it's going against Kil Son-hui.
And that's why Christy Pierce-Rampone is so good. She had got caught forward, yet she still has the speed to recover and get back. Reminds me a lot of Joy Fawcett. Same thing. Great runs forward, but never, ever would you find her out of position, even when she would make a run forward.
One of the soccer moms, like Joy was as well. Was Joy the original? She was the original soccer mom, right?
Joy was the one that gave the rest courage.
And she set the record for coming back quicker than anybody else and playing at an incredibly high level.
She set a standard that no one can emulate, but they all try. I think she was back playing in like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it was like, okay, you are not human.
Yeah. 28th minute, pouring rain in Chengdu, scoreless. USA, North Korea, punched away.
And again, I'm surprised that North Korea isn't setting a line. You can see the traffic that John Myung-hui has to get through to even get a hand on that ball. So that's the danger when you don't set a defensive line and clear that space. Good look at Abby. They've only got one player on her. Shannon Box in behind her.
Wet ball, wet surface. You don't want to give up many of these set pieces if you're a goalkeeper. Lopez drives it. Far post area and out. Headed towards goal and now cleared. Not out by North Korea yet. Push to the right side. Lopez curls it in. It's deflected, but no harm done there. John Myung-hui put it back into play. 29th minute. USA can't be surprised by North Korea today because everything that Greg Ryan and the players have said, they've scouted this team. They knew they were good. They knew they were technical. They've got some weaknesses, though, but so far the USA haven't been able to exploit those.
Coach Ryan said in the 2003 World Cup, as an assistant to April, he said, one of my jobs actually was to scout North Korea, so I know them well. We followed them in the Asian Cup games.
Kim Jong-ae, she was the sub. Off Solo's hands, and she's got it. I got to tell you, in a tight game like this, could be one mistake. It's not going to be like yesterday's Germany 11-0 win over Argentina.
And you're going to see more of this. And Hope does well to grab that second ball, but with it getting wet, like I said, there's going to be a lot of drop balls. Critical for those teams to follow up that second ball.
You see her numbers up top. Second in U.S. history, of course, to Brianna Scurry. Bry set the standard certainly in goal for the USA. They are deep there now with two great goalkeepers. Arguably the two best in this World Cup. They're on the same team. Right side, Kim. No flag up there. Lily back to defend. Here's the cross. Deflected, but it stayed in play. A miss hit there. Still no flag to indicate that ball was out. Here in the 30th minute. North Korea putting all kinds of pressure on there, but the U.S. will get it, try to release upfield.
And you can see the numbers that North Korea puts forward when you have a Christine Lilly playing your left back position. She had to come all the way back, tracking that ball, that run. Not where you want your forward.
I see a North Korea team playing with some confidence here against the United States. They did not come in awe of the #1 team.
And you heard their coach saying in quotes prior to the game, you know, we're not afraid of the U.S. We think this is a great first matchup. Of course he's going to say that, but
they're playing like they believe it.
Exactly.
The U.S. will tap it back.
Although I did hear Argentina say that as well.
I wonder what Argentina's saying today. Here's Kolupny pushing it up. Up for grabs there. There was a little hold against Lilly. Song Jun-sun. Yesterday, Germany making that big statement, 11-0 over Argentina. Birgit Prinz and Smizik had hat tricks, but for Birgit Prinz, she's now tied with your former teammate, the great Michelle Akers, 12 World Cup goals.
I was thinking about that last night, all the great goals that Michelle has scored over the years. And And I was thinking about the 91 World Cup, which she scored 10.
10 of them, right?
and if she had been healthy, in 95, she hardly even played.
Yeah.
99, again, injury issues. If she had been healthy, who knows how many she would have
Remember
scored.
that? 95, the first game, the draw against China, she got hurt.
Devastating.
That was a horrible collision.
With China.
Yep.
Fan Yunji, I remember that well.
Carly Lloyd trying to cut it for Lily. Lloyd can shoot from distance. I was a little bit surprised she didn't maybe try to take someone on and clear space for herself there. You had mentioned they want her to be more offensive-minded. U.S. is having a hard time connecting with its forwards. Doesn't seem like there's a great rhythm yet established between the two lines, and a little bit out of sorts defensively, just trying to stay organized, but North Korea is pulling them apart a little bit, especially with a 3 midfield. They're playing against a 4 midfield for North Korea. Hard for that 3 midfield they constantly have to stay tight, otherwise the ball will just run right through them. How can they make that adjustment now? Or do they have to wait till halftime?
No, you know, Box is anchoring that 3 midfield, and they're playing as a triangle. So she's the bottom of it, and, or the point of it, and then she has 2 in front of her that are higher. So she's just constantly got to be pulling at them and tugging them to stay tight and stay together. It's just constant communication, because if one gets pulled away, they just start to rip through you. It's the danger of the 3 midfield when you're playing a 4 midfield and the opponents.
Wambach getting it forward, wanted Lily. Box, good to see her back healthy. She's going to be one of the key players if the USA is going to win this World Cup. North Korea will send it out wide. Ryun-suk. Solo's there.
I like this Ryun-suk. She's one of their under-20s and was a star at the 2006 Women's World Cup, which they won. She did well in qualifiers for them.
Here on the left. Well, this is totally different than the 2 games you played against North Korea. You mentioned them earlier, both 3-0 wins for the United States.
And totally different in terms of it's your 3rd game. So you've already got 2 wins under your belt. You come into that game knowing, you know, you can rest some players. It's a different mentality than first game in the rain in Asia.
Jung-ran. And that one gets away. 35th minute. North Korea more than holding their own today against the United States. Number 1 USA versus number 5 ranked North Korea according to the FIFA World Rankings. You've got Sweden, number 3 also in this group, and then Nigeria, number 24. Sweden, Nigeria later on this morning here in the United States on ESPN2. There are those rankings. It's incredible. That's why it's the group of death. 1, 3, and 5 in Group B. How did Germany get so lucky in their group? Here's Kalupny. Knocked out.
No comment, JP.
That draw was incredible. I mean, it's the worst case scenario, everybody said. Everything about it, you know, from where the games were being played to who was in the group, everything.
Yeah, it seems to be like that every time, though. We just end up laughing. That's all you can do. You go, you know what, you got to beat everyone, so.
Got to deal with it, right?
That's what Christine said after the draw. I said, how you doing? She goes, doesn't matter. I think it's great, actually. You got to beat them all anyways.
Wonder what the odds were of having the same teams as you had in 2003. Free kick here for Lily.
And another great opportunity for the United States. North Korea is going to drop all their players. She's just going to whip it in there and hope for a deflection.
That was too low. She could even have a crack at goal herself. This is one on the right foot. Skip free, and that's a bad touch, and maybe because of the wet field and the wet ball. But that could have been played better by Sonu Kyung-sun.
And those are the ones, those set pieces with it rainy and with the advantage they have height-wise that the USA needs to find. They need to be drawing fouls outside their box as much as possible. Corner kicks. This is when they should be licking their lips.
Stephanie Lopez drives it over. Headed down as a pass. Not an attempted goal, but it's wide.
And we talked about Abby's toe at the top and how she hasn't shown any discernible limp. But how this plays on her mentally will be interesting to see as well. Is she as aggressive? Is she thinking about it a lot? Because if they have to numb it up and shoot it up, it's hard because you're used to feeling that foot. To not have a right foot, all of a sudden you're running with this numb stump. It takes a toll.
This one towards the right corner. O'Reilly's got it. Makes the one move. Sends it over. Wambach trying to get a piece in the air. Turning is Lily. The shot low, but it's stopped. John Young-Hui was there. Good effort by Lil.
And this is what I love about Kristine Lilly. She wants to make something happen. So she sees she can't hit it with her right foot. She pulls it back, tries to take it to her left foot.
13 shots so far between these two sides. 38th minute. USA and North Korea scoreless. If this result were to stand, this would be huge for North Korea, even with a draw. And that would also set the table for favored Sweden to take control of this group if they beat Nigeria in the second game today. Kolupny cuts it off. Lily. This one played long, but not long enough. North Korea, they've had a lot of possession in the first half. Not a surprise, though. It ends right there, but they'll get it back.
North Korea looks confident, too. Their first touch, they're standing up, scouting the field. U.S. having a hard time getting a hold of the ball, getting some possession and rhythm.
That was all well done. Here's Song inside the box. Well, Song's been in a full stretch 3 or 4 times there. These are close calls.
Very close. Nice calm look on Hope Solo's face. She's not yelling at any defenders, which is a good sign. And these, again, are just so dangerous with these wet surfaces.
Yeah. Julie, North Korea, as good as advertised. Everyone has been pumping them up here before this World Cup.
I think they look good, but we have yet to see the United States establish any type of rhythm.
USA came in 14 days in advance of this World Cup. Could that be a factor?
Well, I think it's too early to tell. I think, from all accounts, everything I've heard from the players is the hotels have been phenomenal. The food has been phenomenal. So compared to prior China trips, they said it's been great and they've enjoyed it. So it really comes into play in that 3rd week, 4th week when you've been on the road 5 weeks now.
So in 1991, when you were there, you were not in 5-star hotels? Is that what you're telling me?
Actually, we were in 1991. We had our own chefs.
Wow.
We were at the White Swan in Guangzhou. We were living large, JP.
Here's the U.S. looking for the first one. 40th minute.
Difference was you couldn't find a Starbucks on every corner back then.
I'm sure you can now. Kolupny will get another corner kick. And that's what the USA must continue to do. Put some pressure on and maybe get one here towards the end of the first half.
And this would be encouraging for the U.S. 5 minutes to go before halftime. They haven't had the run of play, but to be able to walk in at halftime and say, we got a goal on a set piece or we're up a goal would take some pressure off their shoulders.
Wambach, an obvious target. Headed up! Off the crossbar, didn't go in! And O'Reilly tried to pounce on it. Oh, it should have been there for either Wambach or O'Reilly. It'll be another corner coming.
And that's unlucky. An inch, a game of inches, and Abby does well to get ahead on this. She out-jumps 2 North Korean defenders, and Heather just a fraction late to get the rebound.
Whitehill was pushed by the goalkeeper. Play is continuing.
They're going to go for Abby again in that far post.
Headed up and outside the area. Lily cuts it back. Markgraf into the box again. Knotted down but wide. 42nd minute now. USA getting closer, but still without a goal.
You can hear Abby saying, come on. she's knowing we used to call it with the U.S. the big five, the last five before every half, the first five in every half. Critical time in a game.
Settle there, Ryun-gyong. And North Korea relieves the pressure with that long ball. And they'll keep her going. Very good, very adept at stringing the passes together. Ryun-suk. And that's why, you know, you and I have done a lot of games this summer. I can't remember any team having this much possession nor this much pressure or scoring opportunities against the United States.
I agree, and that's what North Korea is known for. They're very technical. They're good on the ball, and as we talked about at the top, a lot of coaches who have seen them in the last few months say, you know, this is quite a team. They're gonna give the United States a run.
Their turn now on the corner kick. Kim Kyung-hwa. They'll play it short. Cut off there. Good scrap for that ball. And now it's cleared away. For safety's sake, more than anything else.
And the power of the home field advantage, every time North Korea touches the ball, listen to the crowd. It's unbelievable. The United States, and especially those in their first World Cup, not familiar with that.
43rd minute.
And even those who have already played in a World Cup, played in the United States.
Quick shot! And again, solo in the dive, but they're getting chances.
And that's a confidence builder. You go in at halftime, North Korea thinking, all right, we're fine. We can play with the United States. That's the biggest disadvantage for a lot of teams, is they hear so much about the U.S. dominance over the years and all these great players, and they come in nervous. So to go in at halftime thinking, we're all right, could be a huge boost for them.
It's only happened a couple of times. USA 0-0 in a half in World Cup play. But this can be a dangerous game. The longer North Korea hangs around, the longer you think maybe they could pull off some kind of an upset. And for me, an upset would even be a draw. That would be their biggest game in their history. A win for sure, but even a draw. North Korea looking for some room. And they may get it here, but that last pass. Blame it on the wet ball in the wet field. If you want.
And it seems the midfield for the United States is an area of focus with those three we talked about. Boxy and Carly Lloyd and Lori Kolepny just seeming to get run around a little bit. They just did a give and go around Carly Lloyd. Boxy's been on the ground a lot. So at halftime, saying to that midfield, let's get ourselves established defensively and tighten up.
North Korea lost it there at the halfway line. Wambach nearly triple teamed on that side. More whistles from Petignat with a player down and a yellow card just issued.
Christy Pierce just coming in a little late on that tackle. Sorry, Christy Rampone.
Got to remember the married names.
Kills me. Sobrero. I constantly go back to that.
Christy Rampone.
Sorry, Chris.
32, playing in her third World Cup. A lot of experience back there, and still one of the fastest players on this team. In stoppage time, you'd expect sometime with the injury earlier to Ho Sun-hui, who had to leave the match. Halfway line, here's North Korea. They're definitely in this one. 0-0, they played well. That one got through. Intended for Kim Yong-ae.
And that is where the wet turf can play to your disadvantage, is that first skip. You see that ball just rocket out. But I can guarantee you at halftime, Christine Lilly is in there saying, we're fine. We're fine, calming them down. That's the experience talking. And even if she doesn't feel fine, that's what she's going to be saying. No problem. We got that first half under our belt.
And that would have been what you would have done too, right?
Yeah.
When you were wearing the captain's armband.
And that's, you know, especially with 12 players on the team coming into their first World Cup. It's like, okay, well, phew, we got that first half over with. Now let's play.
Kim Hyung-hwa played it up. Box intercepts. Shannon Box tried to play it too quickly to O'Reilly. We're in the 2nd minute of stoppage time. If you're just joining us, North Korea and the United States are scoreless, and what would you call it? An even game at worst, or does somebody have an advantage?
I think North Korea has the edge actually right now. I think the U.S. has been more dangerous on set pieces, but I think North Korea, possession-wise, seems to have the game.
Perignon signals for throwing in the far side. Looking at the watch. Well, that didn't take long. She didn't even let the throw-in take place. That's it. First half is over. And as my color commentator partner Julie Foudy says, give the edge to North Korea. After this break, Rob Stone in the studio.
Welcome to the Sports Center Halftime Report, presented by Nike.
And welcome back. After the opening 45 minutes, we are tied at 0s, North Korea and the United States. Heather Mitz, Rob Stone here with you. Boy, with the political tensions between these two countries, what a source of civic pride a win or even a tie would be for North Korea. You can see their leader, Kim Jong-il, printing up posters as we speak, probably, back home. Highlights early on. It was set pieces, corner kicks, very dangerous for the U.S. today, Heather.
Abby Wambach right there, just couldn't get her head on it. Here we see a long shot from out wide. Obviously, this has been the most dangerous that we've seen from North Korea.
41st minute, the best chance for the U.S. again. Wambach off a corner kick, rattles the post. Heather O'Reilly can't get there in time. We are tied at 0s at the break. Last time the U.S. was tied at the half this year, July 14th versus Norway, 0-0 at the break. The U.S. would go on to win that one, 1-0. Wet conditions certainly playing a big factor in this one in your eyes.
Definitely, and I think it's actually playing into the hands of the Americans, just because on these set pieces, especially for the goalkeeper, she doesn't like to come off the line in the first half, but if she does, then with the slippery conditions, she's not going to be able to get a handle on that ball. For the North Koreans, obviously, they've been the most dangerous when they've been taking those shots from distance, and I guarantee Greg Ryan will go into the locker room and tell them that the defense needs to step up. U.S.
outshooting North Korea 11-7, but watching the game, you almost feel like North Korea is having the better of the majority of the opportunities. Again, we're talking set pieces going to be very important in the second half. U.S. with an advantage corner kick-wise, 5-1 possession, though, in favor of North Korea. It is going to be a fun second half between these two. It's going to be a fun day for Jamarcus Russell. He is about to go to the bank and cash a rather large paycheck. More on that when we return.
I recognize him. That's Dave Heavey, Christine Lilly's husband. And now, a great soccer fan and a wet soccer fan as well.
On the back of that hockey jersey has a big lily on it. He's a big hockey player. Big fireman.
He's at all the games that we've seen. He's been there.
He gets more airtime than anyone out there.
He does. Greg Ryan's got the stopwatch ready. Well, that's a sigh of something. Let the second half begin. And as we get ready for it, Julie, you said before, as we went to break, North Korea had the edge. I didn't get a chance to ask you, was it because of the way they played more or the result? I mean, 0-0 is a great result for them at halftime.
It is a great result for them at halftime, but I think they had the better play of possession. They were holding the ball. They seemed a little more confident.
Second half adjustments for the U.S. or no?
I think they're going to, they at halftime talked about, let's settle it, let's get a rhythm. Let's get organized and compact defensively.
First, get the ball. North Korea had it there.
You haven't seen many touches from either Abby or Christine Lilly. The best 1-2 scoring punch in the world, perhaps. And if they don't have the ball at their feet, you gotta get it. You gotta figure it out and get away to have them have a bigger impact on this game.
Kim Hyung-hwa lost it there. U.S. coming back. Wambach. She had the better chances for the USA in the first half. She'll cross it. Headed up the middle. Not normally a good spot to put it. And there's why. Box. Inside. That's blocked. O'Reilly was trying to just get a good deflection in there. So the second half, I think, started the way the first half did. A lot of excitement at the beginning of it, for sure.
And this is one of those games that's going to be end to end, which is always so fun to watch.
John will clear. A foul there. Foul on Rempong. North Korea looking as good as advertised. I heard Greg Ryan's comments before about how strong a side they were. Tom Sermani mentioned before, the Australian coach said it. Those other countries in Asia, they've played against North Korea, so they know how strong they are. But the other teams around the world haven't seen that much of them. Headed away. Right side. North Korea jumping into the play. Kim from distance, blocked. And it will go out. Blocked by Lopez.
And North Korea is not hesitant on cracking that shot and whipping one from outside. And on a day like today, that is a great strategy.
With a team so young, I'm a little bit surprised that they have this much confidence.
No question. I think 22.5 years old, 3 15-year-olds, youngest team in the tournament, 6 players from the under 20. I mean, all the statistics point to them being a young, inexperienced team, yet they're playing with tremendous confidence against the world's
number
best.
one team. Yeah,
right.
That's the big thing for me. They're playing against the number one team in the world, the team favored and expected to win the World Cup. Well, Germany showed us something yesterday. Granted, it was Argentina, and the games will get tougher, but that Germany team looked very strong yesterday. They finished well, as you said yesterday. It doesn't matter. Goalkeeping situation. Those were some great goals, except for the 2 own ones, obviously, that were given up. Kim with the throw-in. Edge of the box. Played back by Ryun Suk. Into the box it goes, but Solo's right there. 26-year-old Hope Solo from Richland, Washington.
And I think that was a great sign for Hope Solo in her first 3-4 touches in the game. With it being wet, that she held on to the ball. She was strong. She came out strong.
Quick shot. And it's right at goal. Right at John, but not a bad idea for Christine Lilly to try one against the young goalkeeper.
And this is where Christine can look and take him from way outside, gets it on target. Something North Korea hasn't been able to do as much. Everything's going just wide.
Into the box it goes for Wambach. The drive off the keeper and in. The U.S. leads. Abby Wambach in the 50th minute has scored a big one. Or should I say another big one.
And Christine getting a nice ball to Abby out wide. And John gets a hand on it and just not able to stop it because of the velocity that Abby's able to pull on this ball. And again, the rain may be a factor here. She gets a hand on it, comes through the 2. And this is why Abby is just so good and one of the best in the world, as she gets few looks. She's had one hit the crossbar. This one found the back of the net.
I mean, that's a powerful shot anyway. When you got to think it's heavier, wetness of the field, wetness of the ball. Sent in wide of Solo. Time will tell just how big a goal that is, but we mentioned earlier the team is 48-1-1 when she scores a goal.
And a critical goal, because they were playing a little bit nervous, having a tough time. Now maybe that's when it's like, all right, we're fine. Let's get rolling now. Open those floodgates and let's go.
So the U.S. with the lead. Let's see how they handle it. O'Reilly, left side for Lilly. Does the confidence pick up now with a 1-goal lead as Lopez played it across and it's blocked? O'Reilly couldn't get to it. It was a tough ball for her. North Korea looking to bounce back. That's broken up. Halfway line. Whitehill long, and that's cleared away. Looking forward is Lilly. It's cut off. Play back. North Korea will hold it.
And lost in that highlight was the fact that that ball played in was Christine Lilly playing a nice scrappy ball. Finds Abby out wide.
Lilly was blocked there. Another cross. Not cleared out. Kolupny got pushed. That's a good call.
And you're seeing more touches by Abby and Christine, Wambach and Lilly. Momentum seems to be changing a little bit in the favor of the United States.
So what else the USA must like? The goal by Wambach was not a header. It was off her right foot with the big toe that was injured. And that was a question. How serious was that injury?
And this is one area where Christine Lilly is, I'm certain, saying to Carly, this is mine, by the way. She's going to crank this with her left foot up her right over that wall.
The wall is moved back to 10 yards. You're lucky if you get 9.
She practices probably about 30 of these a day, I would imagine. I've seen her do it so many times. She's going to try and bend it over that wall. Left foot.
22 yards away, top of that circle. Lilly drives it. It was looking good when it left her foot. USA was hoping for one there because you'd like to get a little more separation. I mean, a 1-goal lead may not be all that safe against the team we're watching today, North Korea.
And you could see her running back, going, that's a good opportunity for me there.
It's Carly Lloyd. That one stopped. You wonder too, wet field, wet ball, long distance shooting from somebody like a Carly Lloyd who can fire them with the best of them.
Exactly. I would be saying at halftime to her, crank away. Especially even from outside, if it hits the ground, it's going to take a weird skip off that wet grass.
Just a 1-goal game here. So North Korea doesn't have to rush things, but they are going to need a goal to get a result. How can they get it?
Well, they're going to try and maintain the possession they've been having and keep this strategy of hitting them from outside.
Here's the cross. Solo backing up. Punched it out awkwardly with one hand. Didn't feel confident that she could get that ball.
And
So
North
better be
Korea is
safe.
known to be very aggressive offensively, meaning they send a lot of numbers forward. That could end up biting them if they be too aggressive.
Kim. That's why we say there's plenty of time. They can be patient because USA great on the counterattack. Here's a corner for North Korea.
And there you're getting a good look at Ri Kung-suk, number 10, the captain for North Korea, is going to be their target. She was the one marking Abby Wambach.
Floated up. U.S. player down. That's Wambach. Heads collided and Solo's got it. 2 players collided in the air. Wambach was one of them. And it looked like Sonu Kyung-sun. Wambach, dangerous in the air offensively, but she'll make a lot of great plays on the defensive side too. There she was defending. It was a clash of heads.
And that's always dangerous because she's backtracking, not able to see what's behind her.
Oh, she's cut. You can see the blood, and obviously the bleeding must stop. She'll be taken off. Can't come back until it is stopped.
That's a FIFA rule.
4-4-1 with her
Off the
out.
field.
That was very good audio. We could read the hand signals anyway, but that was good from Chengdu. That's a nasty cut. And you can...
Heo in the midfield,
Yeah, you can
he
hear.
was just saying. So he's going to drop Heather into the midfield.
Heo is
Heather O'Reilly.
nickname.
Is her nickname. Heo into the midfield, and he'll leave Christine Lilly up high until Abby comes back, and then they'll go back into their 4-3-3 system.
I remember before I was up with the nicknames, I had heard somebody in the sidelines, Heo, Heo, and I had no idea who they were talking about. She is in contact with the other officials on the field. Nicole Pettignat.
Good
These
look
days
at,
at the World Cup, you can see
Lily
that.
organizing the group.
You got to
bringing
take
them together.
Take
Yeah,
advantage of the injury
exactly.
situation, because this is critical. They're not going to take Wambach out unless they have to.
Right, and she's organizing them to play. I keep saying a man down. I should say a person down, a woman down.
This is a key one for the U.S. Everybody was worried about Abby's foot. Now it's her head. '57th minute. USA has taken the lead on a Wambach goal.
Is that a John Harkes lookalike right there?
Oh, that was very good. John will appreciate that. That was my 2006 World Cup partner in Germany. Fastest to hit 75 goals. Michelle Akers, it took her 80 games. Took Abby 94. It took the great Mia Hamm 128. That puts it in perspective for me when you see that. And Mia, of course, is the all-time leading goal scorer. So attention now on Wambach as the USA are down to 10 players. Here's Lily. 58th minute. Ryun Suk. Time for North Korea to try and take advantage of this situation if they can, because you're not sure how long Wambach is going to be off the field.
These are the type of situations you train in practice. I'm certain the U.S. has worked on this. Up a goal, down a man. How do you play?
Here comes Suk, played it over. North Korea's drive up, solo and in. It's tied at 1.
And this is the danger of those wet situations. This is a well-hit ball, but Hope is there. She's got her hands up. She just doesn't get in front of it enough with it being so rainy and so wet. And it's one of the few criticisms we've had about Hope Solo in the past, is there's always this one goal that you see occasionally let in. And there it is. And unfortunately for the United States, there's still a man down.
You could tell by her reaction that's what she knew she should have had. But I was just about to say, that's with Wambach off the field. So they did take advantage of that situation. I was going to ask you, you're up 1-0. If Abby was in not dire straits, but not looking good, that would be a gutsy move to take her off. But you still have that 1-0 lead, but it never got to that.
And in Hope's defense, it is sloppy and rainy and wet, and that happens. But, as a goalkeeper, that's going to be the situation. So you have to take extra caution to make sure when you're doing those shot stops that you've got, both hands solidly behind the ball.
Full credit to North Korea. Falling behind by a goal did not rattle them. They came back strong. Good shot from Kill off Solo and in. 1-1.
And this is a great opportunity to see how the USA will react, because they haven't had many situations in the 3 years where they've even been down, or they've had to deal with any type of pressure from other teams. So how does this team with only 5 players in their first World Cup react?
Long distance shot again, and Solo knocked it down in front of her.
Especially this one right here, Hope Solo. How does she react? First World Cup.
We mentioned earlier, that's one of the stories. She's a great goalkeeper, but this is her first World Cup, and you never know in the women's game or the men's game how players react in those situations. And you mentioned the USA adversity-wise under Greg Ryan, they've only trailed 3 times. They're not trailing here, but they've only trailed 3 times in 46 games, never by more than a goal. And they always came back with a win or a draw. So far, not trailing, but 1-1. And North Korea continues to play well.
And the big challenge in a World Cup is you can hear the atmosphere. It's so loud. And so it's really difficult as a player to communicate that calmness, that we're fine, it's okay. I had the added benefit of A, being extremely loud, and B, being in the center of the midfield where I could get to the back line, I could get to the forwards and talk to them. But Christine's up top, and it's hard for her to communicate with her back line and her midfields in such a loud environment.
That was your nickname. Loudy-fouty, but that was a compliment. We think. Played over to the right. North Korea pulling it back. This a long distance shot again. There's a rebound. Oh boy! North Korea has taken the lead. Some confusion in the box, to say the very least.
Abby is still out. USA is still with 10 players. Unlucky that that was unable to get cleared. You see a reach, a deflection, and it lands right to North Korea. Hope Solo, no way she can stop that.
There it is, the first sub of the match, Kim Yong-ae. So the player that replaced Ho Sun-hui scores, but the USA, playing with 10, have given up 2 goals, and this is now the first time that the USA has trailed in a game since November 2nd, 2006 against Denmark.
First time, and not only that, is they're down a man, so they've got to figure that out, and they've got to deal with this situation of adversity that they rarely have to deal with. How they react will be very interesting to see.
Lily shooting it, and that's wide. But we don't see what's happening with Wambach, and I'm sure there'll be some second guessing. We don't know, though, the seriousness of the injury. But at 1-0, that's a tough call. You're up. Do you take her out? Then it's 1-1. Now it's 2-1. Do you take her out?
I'm surprised it's taking this long, because usually all you do is you bandage the head, you get him back out there. They just don't want to see blood. I mean, Abby's not going to want to come off. You know that.
You have memories of Brian McBride in previous World Cups, all bandaged, and in World Cup qualifiers as well. No one took more punishment than Brian and come back to play more. Here's North Korea.
And that's something that should be done very quickly. You know, that's a 2-minute thing. Wrap it up, get them back out there.
So it makes you wonder. And it was a head wound. That also makes you wonder. 64th minute. North Korea. Into the box it goes. That's headed up the middle. The shot there. Well, the USA are fortunate here. They can't go down the way North Korea is playing by another goal. They just cannot.
No, and this is where they've got to somehow communicate to the team, let's get compact.
Guess who's back?
There comes Abby.
I got to tell you, though, that's a long time that she was out. We're in the 65th minute now. When Kill scored the goal, it was in the 59th minute. And that was probably a couple of minutes while Wambach was out. It's probably been a good, what, 6-7 minutes? Seems like 20 minutes, but I know it's not.
You know, we talked a lot before this World Cup of,
There's Lily's shot block.
would it even be better if the U.S. lost the game before they got to the World Cup? So at least they had that experience of dealing with some adversity and seeing how they bounce back and learning from it. And it's hard for one of your first experiences, not with loss, but with trying to come from behind, being at the first game at a World Cup in Asia against an Asian team.
And playing Sweden next in a few days. Here's Whitehill with a throw-in. Knotted down. Look out there. That was the chance for Kolupny in the 66th minute. Goal kick for North Korea.
And another good look, and that was pretty fortuitous that it actually ended up coming right back to her, and Kolupny needs to do a little bit better and at least get that on frame.
I asked you before, how does North Korea get back in this game? And you told me, how does the U.S. get back in this game now that they trail?
Well, I think you can see that with the rain, how hard it is for goalkeepers. So I would start getting Carly Lloyd taking some shots from outside, Shannon Box, sending more players forward. You got to be a little more aggressive, getting their outside backs forward.
Time for substitutions to change things, or no?
No, I don't think yet. But and you can't go into panic mode where you're flying 10 people forward. But you can, on occasion you need to take more risks and send some numbers.
Available subs like Tarpley, maybe, who played a lot of minutes this year. Natasha Kai is an explosive player, but no World Cup experience, so we'll see. A lot of options for the U.S. They have some depth. But they have the players out there now.
You have an Ali Wagner in midfield who you want to bring in maybe to try and settle it a little bit. She's not 100% yet, but she could give you some minutes.
That's a question mark because she was not used much this calendar year because of injury. But she's on the squad. Right side of the field. U.S. down by 1. 67th minute. The cross headed straight up and out for a corner.
And key to this is you want to play with that urgency, but you also don't want to go into panic mode. You gotta keep communicating to the team that you're fine and you'll get through it. And again, with 5 players in their first World Cup, how they react to it is going to be interesting to see.
Well, like we said about North Korea, there's a lot of time left in this.
Abby Wambach, number 20, will be the target again for the United States. Shannon Box.
Lopez back post, wanted Box, but that's cut off.
And you can see the strategy every time from Stephanie Lopez taking those corner kicks. She's going to in-swing them. She's hitting a lot with her left foot, trying to find that back post, it seems.
North Korea, how do they play now with the lead? They played well when it was scoreless. They went down by a player or by a goal. Took advantage of Wambach being out, scored twice while she was out because of injury. Now how do they play with the lead?
Well, this is the challenge for a team that's playing well and is up, is you don't want to go too defensive. You don't want to go too conservative too early and take you out of your rhythm. So I would stay with what they've got going and just be a little more cautious about how many numbers you send, because they err on the side of being too aggressive.
Here's Kolupny. Outside for Lily. Christine with a right-footed ball in. That's blocked. O'Reilly! She tied it! Heather O'Reilly! Nice goal! 2-2. Her first in the World Cup, remember. She didn't make it the last time because of that injury.
And this is the benefit of what the English say is get it in the mixer, because you can see on a wet surface like this, miss clears.
And strike it quick.
And nice outside of the right foot, upper corner. What a great finish by Heather O'Reilly. First time. She made that look much easier than it is. Those coming back to you are very easy to put over the crossbar.
Especially if you're a young player playing in your first World Cup.
Or you're Julie Foudy and you did it about 100 times in your career.
I didn't want to go there. The game changes again, yet again. 70th minute now. Terrific game, though, here in the opener. Throw in coming up. That unbeaten streak goes back 1 game before Greg Ryan took over. Last loss was against Denmark. Game played in Philadelphia. You played in?
I did play in that.
3-1.
Not so happy to be a part of that record.
No. Maybe help get the new streak started. They've won 13 in a row as well, but right now, this is a terrific game. I mean, you're going to get blowouts in a World Cup like we saw yesterday. Hopefully not many of those, but you're going to get more games like this. Sweden and Nigeria coming up later in this group on ESPN2. Got Japan, England as well. Adrian Healy and Tony DeCicco will have the call of that one for the right to see really who's going to be second, I would think, to Germany. And remember, if Germany wins their group, USA wins their group, if the cards fall that way, they could meet in the final, but... And
that's why a point in this is critical, at least, because you just don't want to finish second in your group because you face Germany most likely in the quarters, like you said. And that, you talk about a tough road already with these first 3 games for the United States to go into a quarterfinal against Germany.
And again, if this game stays like this, if Sweden or Nigeria, whoever wins that next game, if there is a clear winner, they're on top of the table in Group B. Here's the corner for North Korea. Into the middle it goes, and that's Wambach. North Korea will get it right back. Song puts it in there. Big battle again. Quick shot blocked. They're contesting every ball in Chengdu. A lot at stake here in this 2-2 match. Kim headed in, knocked down, and now cleared by Box. North Korea with so much possession on this day. Left side, cross is blocked. I mentioned this before, USA had some easy games on their road to this Women's World Cup. Last couple of games, New Zealand and Finland. This is a different level.
And what's surprising to me is this, as we said in the first half, this team is so young for North Korea, and yet you're seeing a confidence and a deception on the ball that is great. It reminds me of the China teams in the late 90s. They had Soon Win and Fan, and
that's teamwork right there. That's teamwork.
Right.
Of course, the gloves, the wet hands of Hope Solo. Kat Whitehill. We may joke about that later. No joking now. It's a 2-2 game. 73rd minute. Game one for these two teams on day 2 of the Women's World Cup. All the games here for you on ESPN and ESPN2. Cleared by Box.
And, you know, with Boxing, the experience she brings, she seems to be struggling a little bit this game in terms of possession. And I think they need her to be able to settle it. And something, you know, with her holding and anchoring that midfield that is critical.
It's a foul on Box. Over the back of Ryun Suk. Shannon Box playing in her second Women's World Cup. Free kick, North Korea.
You can see the Cat is holding the line for the U.S. She's got her arms out right at the 18. They want to leave that space for Hope.
Wambach again with a clearance off the win in the air. That's blocked to the middle. Kim. Right side. Song. Plays it in a little bit deeper. Kim Kyung-hwa. Will she get a corner? Who touched it last? Heather O'Reilly was over there battling.
And you can see Heather O'Reilly having to draw back on the back line. Abby Wambach coming back for set pieces. Christine Lille earlier in the game, and that is what North Korea does well, is they send a lot of numbers, which causes the U.S. forwards to play a lot of defense.
75th minute. Kim Kyung-hwa. Now into the back post, knotted down. That's blocked. USA will clear it out. Some anxious moments here for the U.S. Long shot. Solo's got it. '75th minute. Headed up by North Korea. Here are your goal scorers, 2 on each side. Still anybody's game.
Hearing a lot from Greg. You don't usually hear him that much.
You really don't? You really don't. Here's what's at stake for the United States, the unbeaten streak. They've never lost a first-round game. They just had the one draw against China back in '95, and they play, by the way, the number 3 team in the world in their next game, Sweden. Sweden takes on Nigeria coming up 7:55 a.m. East Coast time on ESPN2. Rikum Suk. Kiel. She had that first goal for North Korea. Back for Solo it goes.
And you know, those would be normally just an easy cleanup by goalkeeper, but every time in this rain, that ball comes bouncing in. You can hear the crowd go crazy.
Why not more long-distance shots the way this thing has been going?
Well, you can see North Korea is trying to take some, but the U.S. doing a better job of getting some pressure on the ball so that that midfield shot is getting deflected a lot. But for the U.S., I definitely think that should be an approach they take with this weather.
Isolate Carly Lloyd. We had said before, maybe the hardest shot on the team from distance. We've seen her score from several yards away. But today really hasn't been a factor. Can't recall a shot she's taken or even getting close.
No, and not much play at all from the midfield.
Tough collision in the air again. It's been a physical game.
And that, I mean, credit North Korea. They've had a lot of the ball. U.S. unable to get possession.
Kate Marcraft was the player down. You wonder, too, how much this will take out of the U.S., whether they win this game, tie it, or lose it. Next, they play Sweden. This is a draining kind of a game.
Yeah, emotionally, definitely. And you know what I like about this U.S. team is, and you can see the possession with Korea dominating that, but what I like about this U.S. team is they're very loose. They have fun. Everything you see about them.
It's headed wide.
Wow, and what a great missed opportunity, though, for the United States, because, again, North Korea dropping all the way back into their own 6-yard box, and all Abby's got to do, and easier said than done, is just redirect that with a flick, and she tries to get too much on it, but North Korea holding no line, and so their goalkeeper, John, has to deal with just this mess of traffic in front of her.
78th minute.
And if you're the United States, you see that, and every time you even have a free kick from mid-stripe, you're going to launch that in there.
North Korea, oh, there's some room there. Closer and closer, Ryun-suk lays it off. Inside the box. A chance coming up here, Ryun-suk shooting it, it's blocked. North Korea, they're back on it. Here's why they've had the edge of possession. They get it right back. It's deflected towards the right flank. Captain is there. Ri Kum-suk plays it over. Kim Kyung-hwa, it deflects into the box. You got to be so careful here. Clear it out for a goal kick.
And Christy Rampone did a good job of not fouling her for a penalty kick. She kept her hands out, showing the referee, look, I'm playing fair here. But every second ball, you can hear Coach Ryan yelling, second ball, second ball. Every second ball, North Korea seems to be picking up. So they just come back and ram it back down the United States' throat. So critical that they start picking up that second ball.
USA still haven't made any substitutions of this here in the 79th minute. Here's Lily, and it went off her left foot out of play. North Korea made one change earlier, but that was because of injury. Ho Sun-hui left. Kim Young-ae came in, and she was the one that got the go-ahead goal for North Korea. You joined us late. USA led by a goal. North Korea came back and tied it with Wambach off the field with an injury. North Korea got a go-ahead goal about 3 minutes later, still with Wambach out, and then O'Reilly tied it up later on. 2-2 here, 80th minute. Plenty of action in this one. A well-contested game in the opener for these two teams. Right through it goes. Solo. Let that one go out.
Good idea. She just tried to slip it in the back door to Ri Kum-suk, but with this rain and that wet field, it's going to run.
Hope Solo. Another aerial collision. And I think another yellow card is coming. No, I thought she was going for it. Carly Lloyd back up. Ready to go. 81st minute.
This is the most I've ever heard. I don't know if their boom mics are better than ours, but the most I've ever heard Coach Ryan.
I agree.
On the sideline. And, you know, it's interesting. We were talking about that with Tony DeCicco, you know, former coach of the national team for many years, about, you know, how coaches feel coming in their first tournament as their, you know, with the big tournament as a head coach. And not expressing too much panic to the team.
The U.S. will win it back. Lloyd Played it in low. That's blocked. North Korea will clear. U.S. looking for it back. So impressed with North Korea on this day. Number 5 is their ranking. So it's not surprising that it was a competitive game. Maybe what was a little bit surprising was the amount of possession for North Korea today and the fact that they took the lead. But again, it was with 10 men. But still, this is a great effort from North Korea. A lot of people felt that they could advance from this group, even ahead of Sweden.
Right, and you know, they're looking the part today. And it's fun to see them finally play because, you know, even in China these last 2 weeks, they close all their practices. You can't ever watch them. They had to have one mandatory open practice to the media. They don't give interviews.
Yeah, I remember in 1999, somebody said, which one is their coach? And 3 different people pointed at 3 different people. They didn't want you to know who to talk to. One person said, that's the coach, but he doesn't talk. This guy will talk.
And
but
the only times you can really see them play is if they have to play in their Asian qualifiers. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what their training is like. I'm sure they play against a lot of men's teams and boys teams in North Korea.
U.S. looking for this. Still some time left in this one. On the right side, Ri Un-gyong. Is there another goal remaining in this game for one of these two sides? Or will they each get a point? Box, and the advantage call will play it forward. Walbach slowed down. Tackled away. Box.
Better composure by Bach. She's stringing some passes together.
Kong will play it back. 83rd minute, 2-2 game. USA and North Korea in Group B, the group of death. Song to the right. Kim cutting it. Driven into the box. Knocked down. USA. That's something you don't see often. Cat White, he'll clear that one out. Almost for a corner. I think it's going to be just a deep throw in, but you don't see that. Normally they'll just clear it more calmly than that or find somebody that's open, but not that time. That was safety.
Yeah, and you're seeing quite a bit of lunging, you know, reaching for balls and lunging defensively, which you don't see a lot from the U.S.
84th minute here. Womack says that should have been a throw-in.
And normally this is when I would say the U.S. has the advantage because they're always fitter, they're stronger in you know, the final waning minutes of a game. But North Korea is known for their fitness.
So they did rule it a corner kick. Womack might have been right. It looked like it was more of a throw-in. Here is Kim. Drives it low. A miss hit there because of the wet ball in the wet field.
But there again, you see, you know, it seemingly should be a fairly simple clear, and there's a lot of lunging going on, off balance.
This is a tough one. The USA hasn't faced this kind of adversity in a long time. Long time. Here's Kim. There's some holding going on there. There's a loose ball outside of the box. Song's shot is blocked. The U.S. holds it. Wambach deflected out. North Korea, the number 5 ranked team in the world according to FIFA. They qualified 3rd place in the Asian Cup. Ryun Suk, we talked about her, 4 goals led them in qualifying. They had a good qualifying record. And everybody has talked very well about them coming in. We had heard that talk before, though, in previous World Cups, and it didn't turn out to be true.
Right, so I wasn't sure.
True now. It's true.
Sure this time around.
It's no longer an opinion, it's a fact.
I mean, 2 really good players in Ryun Suk and Ri Kum Suk. Number 9 and number 10.
This would be a huge result if it stays like this for North Korea, getting a point against the United States, and it might also show other teams in this World Cup that you can get a result against the United States.
And Yeah, no question, because like I said earlier, you know, there is an aura around that U.S. team of them being so good and dominant, and they know the preparation that's gone into it. I mean, the U.S. team has been training full-time, living together for 2 years. I mean, that never happens. We usually would get together for, you know, 6 months prior to a World Cup or Olympics, but they actually did it in a non-World Cup, non-Olympic year in 2006.
Had another shot there, head coach Greg Ryan, and by far the most animated we've ever seen him in every game combined.
Going back to my Tony comment is, you know, you're freaking out as a head coach, I'm sure. And Tony talked about this, you know, in his first World Cup in 1995, but giving off this appearance of, you know, being calm, and Greg has done that very well. But this is when it surfaces, and you look over. I remember at times saying to Tony, calm, it's okay, it's okay.
U.S. looking for another chance off Lily. It's loose, but North Korea will get it back in the 87th minute. North Korea to the halfway line. Oh, miscommunication there. Solo and Rampone. And we've got another sub up.
Rampone is lucky she didn't get called for an obstruction call there.
But you wonder, is somebody going to make a mistake here on either side? It could cost them points, big points.
And there's so much pressure for this U.S. team to prove themselves, you know, with the old ladies gone, and Mia retired, and Brandy and myself, and
no joy.
So
played up on that left side, 88th minute. North Korea looking for a late winner. The U.S. will clear, but North Korea once again gets it back.
And that's the second ball we're talking about. They're just sitting there about 30 yards out, cleaning up every clearance the United States is making, and they're not able to clear it with any distance, so they just bring it right back at you. You get no rest or reprieve because they're coming right back at you.
Normally, that's a USA strength. They've always talked about winning the second ball. In the games we've seen this summer, that's what they've done. U.S. will clear it. Here's Wambach. The interesting point here, a point would be great for North Korea, good result, but they're not playing for it. They're playing for a win. They're still going forward, looking for a goal, and now they must defend. USA looking for it. Edge of the box, some contact, but it's incidental. Columbia didn't think so. But you're not going to get that call.
And a good counter-attacking opportunity by the U.S. there. Columbia doing well to get forward.
Kim Young-ae has it blocked. That's clear. I mean, is it North Korea's confidence? Is it their youth? But they're going for it. They're not sitting back and saying, we'll take the point.
And actually, I remember in 2003 them sending numbers like that, and thinking back then it was a mistake for them to do that because it was too aggressive, you know, and on a counter you become very susceptible. So you want to be aggressive, but you also realize a point for them in this with 2 minutes to play would be huge.
If you're talking about those previous teams, this team is better. And they're playing like they know it. 90th minute.
I think in 2006 when they ended up beating China in the under-20 Women's World Cup 5-0, USA finished 4th. All of a sudden people took notice.
So Young is going to leave. Kim Young-ae, she was the one that came in earlier. So a sub is going to be sub for it. That happens occasionally. Jung-Puk Sim will come in.
And now you're in the final minutes, and as the United States, they got to be thinking, we can't give up any stupid fouls around our box, especially with this weather and how it factored into the first goal.
Kate Marcraft down. That's not a good sign.
That's twice we've seen her on the ground like that, getting up slowly, which is unusual for Kate.
I'll tell you, first things first is this game here. Look at how much stoppage time is going to be put on. Greg Ryan being warned. Get away. Get away from that sideline. You don't want to get kicked out of a game. Evan Pellerud of Canada can't coach in the first World Cup game for Canada because he was sent off in a World Cup qualifier. Played ahead and now knotted down by North Korea. In a stoppage time, and a significant time here with the 4 minutes put on. Suk played it back. A miss hit there. U.S. getting to it. Moving it forward. And another whistle. And another, is it a card? She can't get out of the pocket. There it goes. That took a while. Jong, who just came on, gets booked. Can't worry about the next game for the U.S., which is against Sweden until then. They've still got this one to go, but you got to wonder if they only get a draw out of this. The emotion and the physical play of this, what it takes out of them, we'll see. Here's Whitehill. Headed right side, Wambach. Abby off the left foot, it's deflected. Or may have just hit off a piece of that grass that's been torn up. First sub coming in, and that's an offensive-minded move. O'Reilly, yes, is a forward, but so is Kai. They could have gone defensively.
Yeah, interesting that he waited this long.
Right.
I thought he would have brought in Kai or Tarpley earlier. And that he goes with Natasha. I mean, Natasha's got more speed than a Lindsay Tarpley.
It's cleared the other way.
Maybe he saw there were 4 minutes in injury time. Thought, oh, I got a whole game here still.
Yeah. But I mean, he didn't go defensively. Could have brought in someone else, like a Leslie Osborne, for example, if he wanted to preserve a tie. But he went with Natasha Kai. 3rd minute of stoppage time. What a terrific game this has been under pretty bad conditions with heavy rain through a good portion of the match. This field has taken a pounding. Nigeria and Sweden must play on it later. Soon, in fact. Kim. Lost there. Can the USA spring a counter? Not there. Lloyd was broken up. This is so well done by North Korea. Quick shot taken! Oh, what a save by Solo! That's a save of the game! That had game winner written on that shot.
Wow, and after letting that first goal in, what a great recovery by Hope, mentally, physically, to get to that ball.
Here's another long distance one, and she's got that too.
And that speaks volumes for her, because she could have gone either way with that first goal going through her hands. Granted, it is wet, but you could see how angry she was with herself for that. And she's come back to make 2 huge saves right at the 90th minute for the United States to preserve a critical 1 point, possibly.
Goalkeepers have to be their own worst critics. They are the last line of defense. 30 shots, and normally when it's 30 shots, it's the USA with at least 25 of them. Not today.
And if that holds up with 30 more seconds, that is such a big save, because think of the impact that would have had on the United States in the 94th minute, losing 3-2 in your first game.
Talk about the emotion that we spoke about earlier. Here's Whitehill, long distance free kick. Played over. Nearly a mistake there. And you can still consider that a mistake as it's cleared out for throwing deep, but there's not much time left in this. Another kick, maybe.
They're going to let him take this throw in, and that could be a big decision right there.
North Korea will get it. Ryun Suk gave it away. Box. And that one goes wide. That might have been it. What a game, though. 2-2. USA, #1 in the world. North Korea, #5.
And what a test for the U.S. I mean, perfect opportunity for them to say, all right, we're for real. Best team you've never heard of, and we're going to come back from this 1 point, because to the U.S., that's considered a setback. We're going to come back from this, and we're going to show against Sweden how good this team is. A great opportunity for them, and that's how they have to look at it, rather than being discouraged.
That's it. What a game this was. These two teams each get a point, which means that in the next game that we bring you, Nigeria and Sweden, if there's a clear winner in that one, they will lead Group B. Abby Wambach played in this one despite the bad foot, and she went the distance. 1 point each for the USA and also for North Korea. Nigeria and Sweden are coming up next. 2-2 is the final score. Coming up next, World Cup Live, Rob Stone, Heather Mitz. This was a great game. We'll hear what Rob and Heather think later on. Thanks for watching, everybody.
.56 a.m. Eastern. You may be getting your wake-up call right now. The U.S. women's national team has already received it, tying North Korea 2-2 in their opener of the FIFA Women's World Cup, coming your way from Chengdu. What a game. What a complete difference from yesterday's opener when Germany completely thrashed Argentina. We have some estrogen and some help here on my right side. Tony DeCicco, former U.S. men's national team coach, joining us. Julie Foudy sprinting from the booth. Heather Mitz has been here with us all game. We're going to completely break this game down for you, including some post-reaction from Chengdu. But first, let's get to the highlights. Kristine Lilly, the captain's armband, getting set to kick off yet another World Cup for her. Scoreless. 41st minute, Abby Wambach, always a focus on corner kicks, rattles the crossbar. Heather O'Reilly stretches, can't get to it. We go to the break, tied at zeros. 50th minute, break for the U.S. Abby Wambach fires, overpowering the keeper, her 78th international goal. States go up 1-0, look to be in control. 55th minute, turning point here on the corner kick. Wambach goes up, butts heads, blood coming down. Shades of Steve Nash from the NBA playoffs this year. She would have to leave the match. Greg Ryan adjusting the formation to a 4-4-1 as the U.S. will temporarily play a woman down. North Korea would capitalize. They would capitalize on a mistake from Hope Solo. Went right through the glove. She knew it the second it grazed those mitts. They would continue pressuring. Another shot. Sloppy defense, tucked in the rebound. Hope going one way, ball goes the other. North Korea on top. First time the Americans have trailed in the game since November 2nd, 2006. They're back to full strength. Heather O'Reilly outside of the right boot, bangs it in. Her 12th international goal coming in the 69th minute. And that is how we ended up tied at 2. Hope Solo, though, had to make some key saves in stoppage time, including one where she went full sprawl to her right. She was awfully active, Tony. We'll start with you as a former head coach of this U.S. women's national team. You find yourself in some of these positions not too often if you're the U.S. coach. What would you be saying to them right now in the postgame?
Well, it was a great game. First of all, it was a great game. North Korea, they knew it was going to be a difficult team, especially in Asia. And I'm telling the U.S. team right now that their trademark is they can come back. They can come back to tie in this game, in this case, and they can come back to win. And they may need to do that later. And on Hope Solo, she did make a big mistake, but I liked the way she bounced back, and she was good through the rest of the game.
All right, we're going to talk plenty more about this game. But first, Jaime Mota standing by with Abby Wambach. Question number one, how was her bloodied head?
There seemed to be a lot of blood when you got injured in the second half. What happened on that play?
I just went back post to clear a ball from a corner kick, and number 10 kind of came in, and her head hit my head, and probably put 2 stitches in there, and kind of ran off, ran back on. Obviously, it wasn't fast enough.
Before the game, you said it was very important for you to play on 9/11. Getting a dramatic result like this today and wearing the jersey, what did that mean for you?
Well, you know, all of my thoughts and prayers and everybody on the team, we've been thinking about, we talked about today. Today's a day of mourning for the United States, and fortunately we didn't come out with a win tonight, but you know, it's just important we got a point, and we're moving forward. It's not how you get through the next round, it's a matter of how many points you get there.
So what does the team have to do in the next game?
Well, you know, it's hard. The surface was hard to play on today, and you know, we got Sweden, and it's going to be one of those games potentially again like this. Just got to look at the points, see what we got to do. We just got to finish, come out strong, and kind of rely on Kristine and our veterans to push us through. 1
point today, Sweden on Friday. Thank you.
And Sweden on Friday becoming even more important for the United States. They now sit atop of their group with 1 point, tied with North Korea. What a great result if you're North Korea. Julie, we start with you. We talk Abby Wambach. The concern about her was her big toe coming into the game. Now the head, obviously she's going to be all right, came in, did a ton, not only offensively, but defensively as well. How much did that impact this game?
Well, I think you heard her say, you know, I got stitched up, but it wasn't fast enough. And unfortunately, when the U.S. went down a player to 10 players, you know, North Korea got 2 goals on them. So I think that was unfortunate for the U.S. But you could see the image of Abby with this blood on her jersey, and she's battling. And that's the U.S., and they'll be fine. You know, hopefully the experienced players, I know Christine is in there saying, look, we got a point. It could have been worse, and we're going to come back, and we'll be fine against Sweden. There's lots of soccer to be played still.
The team physio may need to have a little bit more of a pit crew mentality. Just get
right, exactly.
Stitch her up, get her back
I'm
out
like,
there.
What is going on out
we'll
there?
get it nice and clean a little bit later, but in the meantime, the hair's going to cover it. Everything's going to be fine. Heather, we talked in the pregame about the conditions of the field. Heavy rain through a majority of the first half, lightened up, picked up again. Obviously, it affected goals for each team as well.
Right. I mean, I thought that the conditions were definitely a huge factor. Obviously, we saw Hope Solo should have had the one. The North Korean goalkeeper could have had that first shot against Abby Wambach. And then once again, the missed clears played a huge factor. 2 goals scored off of that as well. All
right, let's get a little more tactical here with Tony DeChico. And you were watching the midfield, and you think this was a midfield that was won by North Korea.
Well, I think for stretches of the game, North Korea dominated the midfield. They had more possession. I don't think Box, Lloyd, and Kolupny made that many passes to each other throughout the game when you look at it. And defensively, I think the U.S. midfield has got to be a little bit more cohesive, especially in front of goal. North Korea got too many shots right in front of the back 4 for the USA, something that Greg Ryan will work on.
And, you know, sometimes it's not a bad thing giving up those long-distance shots, but North Korea was putting them on frame and making Hope Solo work.
Right from the opening kickoff, they got a dangerous shot, and that was the trademark shot they had throughout the game. So the impact here is later on in this group play, because of this draw, the U.S. may not be able to rest players in that 3rd game. They may need a result in that 3rd game.
And let's talk about the mental impact of a tie. It's certainly not the worst thing, but Heather, you've trained for months and months with these women. They were expecting game 1, 3 points, not 1.
Sure, and of course when you come out here you want to get that confidence coming off of the win in the first game, but at the same time North Korea is a good team, and I think that looking at this now, you know, it is a tie, but at the same time for the mentality of the U.S. players, it's a loss in their mind. And you know, going into this next game against Sweden, it's going to be a tough game. They know that, but at the same time they're going to be prepared for that as well.
And watching, you know, it was interesting watching when they were closing out the game, their heads as they were walking off. I was paying attention to that. How are they reacting to this? And some of them had their heads down. So I think it's going to be important, again, for these leaders on the team to say, look, it's a point. It's the first game. Yes, we may not be able to rest as many against Nigeria, but we've got to get 3 against Sweden, because that is the all-important game. And this, they knew if they got a point, they're still alive. They've got 2 games left.
As a former head coach, how would you have handled things? We're not trying to second-guess Greg Ryan here, but how would you have handled things, be it substitutions, you know, only 1 U.S. sub late? Would you have done any altering in the midfield earlier than maybe he did?
Well, I think Greg Ryan managed a good game. You know, Hope is so secure. She had that bad mistake, and of course the U.S. reeled for a short time after that, and with Wambach out, North Korea capitalized. But overall, I think he showed confidence in his team, and O'Reilly paid it off with a big goal. And that's the key point he has to make. We can come back. We can come back against the 5th-ranked team in the world. We can come back against anyone.
How do you address them tomorrow at practice?
Business as usual. We got another game coming up. We did a lot of good things. This is what we have to improve on. Let's prepare for Sweden.
All right, Julie, we go back to you as a former captain. You obviously would have a serious role in the post-game locker room to talk to your players. What would you be saying to them right now?
What were you doing? What were you thinking? Come on! No. I think, you know, just calmness, and you know, Carla Overbeck and myself, we used to call us the spin masters. It was all about, even when you were totally panicked, and maybe it was the '99 World Cup and you're going into penalty kicks against China and you're exhausted and you haven't practiced them, you're like, we're fine. So spinning it to the positive, and they will be fine. I think you know, what I love about this young team is they may lack the experience, but they're so resilient in terms of they love to be out there, they love the game, and I think that is an important factor. Is you're loose, and this team is loose, and so in a situation like this, when it starts to tighten, it's like, we're fine.
I like your half full type approach. It's nice. And also another positive, if you're a U.S. supporter, is that they are now battle tested in World Cup play with a lot of these younger players. Germany, with that huge rout, they haven't been tested. Granted, it's one game. They think everything's going to be a cakewalk. The U.S. now realizes what this tournament is all about. So North Korea and the United States on top of Group B for now, each with 1 point. Nigeria and Sweden coming up a little bit later this morning. Huge implications now for the United States as they get ready to take on Sweden a little bit later in the week. Well, the English women's national team in action coming up at the top of the hour, but their men's team hit the field Saturday in a key Euro 2008 qualifier. We'll show you the sights from their outing versus Israel. But up next, the gang from ESPN News takes over with a look at what happened last night, including the sights from the Monday Night Football doubleheader, and Jamarcus Russell, about ready to be a very, very wealthy young man.
My name is Christy Rampone. I'm from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. My dad was my sports hero. I looked up to him from day one, and you know, he's trained me to be who I am today. Being a mom definitely was the proudest moment of my life. To play at this level and be a mom, I think, is definitely the ultimate for me. I take so much pride in every day that I get the opportunity to play for this team and this country, and give it 100% every time I step on the field.
The biggest event in women's soccer is back.